Welcome back to Snetterton for the final race of the year in the Radical SR1 Cup. As the sun starts to set, the championship is to be decided very shortly as well. For this third and final race, it's Oliver Barker who'll start from pole position. James Taylor, championship leader still, only just, the gap now down to 24 points. So Oliver Barker still needs to win. James Taylor needs to be right there with him if he has the shot of the championship. Richard Baxter and Kai Wheatley there on row number 2, and then Rob Ellis and James Barwell round out row number 3. As again the 5-second board is held aloft. The final race about to get underway as the red lights come on, and who's going to make the best of the starts? Pretty even from the front. Oh, Kai Wheatley makes a bad start. He does trundle away from the grid, but he's going to drop himself pretty much to the tail of the field by the time they reach the first corner. So Kai Wheatley has got a lot of work to do, but James Taylor is the man who takes the early lead. Oliver Barker will slip there into second place, and then let's see who has come through in third by the time they reach the Wilson hairpin. Top two still in the same order. Up into third place is going to be Richard Baxter in car number 8, and a good start as well from James Barwell from the third row. A few cars that trundled a little bit late into the Wilson hairpin there, one of those being Peter Devlin from the back of the grid. But a good start from all those front runners. There's Andy Chitterton, you can see in car number 48. He's being hounded all the while there by number 12, which is Rob Ellis, and already you can see in the background there number 7, Kai Wheatley, making up some ground after his poor start. So he goes down the inside of Spencer Bourne. Nicely done at the Agostini hairpin, and you need to get these moves done early on because that's when everyone is bunched nice and closely together. So Kai Wheatley needs to make hay while the sun shines here, and then you can see the man in second place also needs to do exactly the same because, as we mentioned, Oliver Barker needs to win, which he's done on the previous 2 occasions, but can he win the third and final race and hope that James Taylor falls a little bit lower down the order? And of course, with a point for the fastest lap and a point for pole position, there's a few more on offer for this final race as well. So there you go then. Oh, and a move early on here from our second place man, Oliver Barker, trying to get to the inside of James Taylor. Through Brundle and Nelson they go. Already, look at that, well ahead of our third place man, Richard Baxter. So Oliver Barker continues to try and challenge there. There's our fight for 5th, 6th and 7th. Kai Wheatley is the man in the number 7 car trying to get his way through, but it is for the lead that we need to focus on, and it's Oliver Barker trying to get through past number 2, James Taylor. He takes a little bit of a slow line in towards Murray's, but that then should give him great speed on the exit, and let's see if he can make a move towards the end of the straight as they head up towards Ritchie's at full racing speed on this occasion. Which way will Oliver Barker go? Does he go inside or outside? He's hidden behind the car there of James Taylor, down the inside of Ritchie's corner, and Oliver Barker again gets to the head of the field. He leads the way in this third and final Radical SR1 Cup race. Let's see if he can hold it up towards the Wilson hairpin. Kai Wheatley again trying to make a few places up through the first corner, and yes, Oliver Barker does lead. He's held it. He sits ahead of James Taylor in car number 2. Richard Baxter in third, just behind, as they work their way through the left-hander at Palmer. Will Oliver Barker start to feel the pressure now and make a few mistakes, or will he, just like the previous 2 races, manage to pull away by a good, comfortable lead? For now, he's under attack from James Taylor as they work their way in towards Agostini. He's looking every single way to try and get back past. James Taylor, theoretically, just needs to sit where he is, and that will be good enough for the championship. But he wants to go out in style. He wants to win the final race of the year and take the championship with it as well. As they come through Hamilton, they'll now be joined by Richard Baxter, who has pretty much appeared from nowhere. He's caught up with the top 2 as they've been squabbling for the lead of the race. So Richard Baxter is the third party within this fight out front, as the 3 leaders turn their way on towards the Bentley Straight for a second time. You can cover these 3 cars with literally a blanket. There's nothing to choose between them as they head down then in towards Brundle and Nelson. Oliver Barker goes a little bit weavy along the straight there. That's just to try and put off James Taylor and keep him out of the toe that will be given off down the back straight. And of course there'll be another one given off down the main straight as well. But James Taylor looking to the inside lines. They work their way through the bomb hole again. He looks briefly to the inside in towards Coram Curve, but no way through as of yet for James. And of course he's now in the same situation of attacking and defending at the same time, because Richard Baxter is there in car number 8 as they progress their way up on towards the start-finish line once more. Not a bad season at all for Richard. Finds himself with inside the top 5 of the championship as they complete lap number 2. Let's see if James Taylor can do a manoeuvre that Oliver Barker did a lap ago. No, he can't, is the answer to that, because he wasn't quite close enough. He's lost ground midway through the corner. He's now going to be under attack from Richard Baxter in towards the second corner. So straight away now, Oliver Barker has got his head down. He's starting to pull away. and James Taylor is going to have to be left to defend from the man behind as the top three turn through Palmer once more. Again, these three are well and truly up the road ahead of Andy Chittenden, who finds himself in 4th place. You've also got in there as well the likes of the number 7 car, which is Kai Wheatley, working his way back through, and then just ahead of him is number 15, James Barwell. As down the inside line behind them comes Rob Ellis, looking to get past the number 6 car of Spencer Bourne. They'll run side by side through Agostini, and there goes Rob Ellis through now up into what's going to be 7th position. 8th place then down 1 there for the number 6 machine of Spencer Bourne. Back to the lead as we go. Closed up once again gradually. Oliver Barker still has a comfortable-ish lead over the 2 chasing contenders, James Taylor and Richard Baxter. And then you can see just behind that another train starting to form as well. But there goes Barker in 1st, Taylor in 2nd and Baxter in 3rd. No move really looking to be on there for Richard Baxter. Again, he's just lost a little bit of ground along the back straight. So it's equidistant between the top 3. So they turn away through the bomb hole on towards the right-hander at Coram Curve. But Oliver Barkin looking very, very good at the minute for a win. But, of course, he'd need, as we said, James Taylor to finish a long way down for him to take the championship at the end of this race. And here comes Rob Ellis now on the attack once more, because number 6 of Spencer Bourne, somewhere on this lap, has managed to find his way back through now. So this titanic battle continues as the 2 cars head their way up towards the line, just find themselves inside the fringes of the top 10. Andy Chittenden going through in car number 48. There's number 15, James Barwell, followed by number 7, Kai Wheatley. And in this scrap we've been talking about, Spencer Bourne and Rob Ellis all nearly loses a back end there through Ritchie's, which is so easy to do. You just lose that back end slightly through a very fast Ritchie's, you can find yourself off in the Farmers Field, which is a very familiar sight here at Snetterton. There then goes the 2 cars we've been mentioning, now starting to catch up with Kai Wheatley, in fact, car number 7 there. So this is going to be the fight for 6th, 7th and 8th places. And that's probably the closest on track at the minute. The top 3, of course, as we know, we're fairly close. But Kai Wheatley is the one we focus on in that number 7 machine. Right on his tail is there, Spencer Bourne. And Rob Ellis, after a poor first race where he didn't finish, failed to get off the line, in fact. Race 2 went a lot better. He managed to find himself up inside the top 4. And on this occasion he's inside the top 10, but with a few more places ahead of him to try and gain. Let's see if he can get exactly the same position as he did in the previous race. Good move there from Spencer Bourne. He tried to get the move done through Williams, which again is not the best place to get it done, because then you find yourself hampered on towards the Bentley straight. But he's going to try and go right round the outside at Brundle, which if he can do is going to be a miraculous move, which he does. So Spencer Bourne gets through now on Kai Wheatley, so I'm sure he didn't see that one coming, because we didn't either. So Kai Wheatley drops down the order into 7th position. Spencer Bourne moves up the order, and still behind them in number 12 is Rob Ellis. So they'll now find themselves to try and close down number 15, which is the car of James Barwell, but already James finds himself now a good 2 seconds up the road. Let's see if that changes this time round, and if Kai Wheatley can do anything about getting back past Spencer Bourne, because we know at times Spencer can be a little bit leery. He is one of the novice racers within the field, but still learning on every single time he goes out there onto the track. So he goes through then across the line, just ahead of Kai Wheatley. As we start now lap number 6 within this race. There's our 7th place man then in car number 7, very handily for us. Rob Ellis behind him, and then just behind them, just out of shot, is Jack Barber, who hasn't really featured in the last 2 races. Again, he had a great first race, but has found himself a little bit lower down the order. Sparks fly, the dust is kicked up as well from Kai Wheatley, just shows how hard he's pushing to keep himself ahead now of Rob Ellis in car number 12, who may just have a brief look at Agostini. He gets close enough, but again, the door wasn't quite open for Rob to have a challenge there, so he sits in the tow of Kai as the ever brighter lights now start to appear as sunset starts to fall at Snetterton on this final race of the season for the Radical SR1 Cup. As we mentioned, it looks to be going the way of James Taylor, but Oliver Barker doing all he possibly can to try and take that away in this last race of the season. And Rob Ellis doing exactly the same to try and take the last place he can, 7th, from Kai Wheatley as they work their way down the Bentley straight. You can see there Kai Wheatley taking a slightly different line, just try and go defensive in towards Brundle. Can Rob Ellis do exactly what number 6 machine of Spencer Bourne did and go around the outside? No, he can't, not at Brundle, neither at Nelson either. So he sits there still looking at the rear wing of that orange and silver machine as this fight for 7th turns its way through Coram Curve. The leader already through there and now up towards Ritchie's. Again, to see how hard he's working. The eye is glistening as he works his way up through Ritchie's corner. He now leads this race by a good 6 or 7 seconds. Not quite as much as he had in races 2 and 3, but he's leading the race, which is the main thing. And of course, if he gets the fastest lap as well, that'll be an extra point to add to the championship tally. Rob Ellis still hounded as much as possible, gets a nice tight line through Ritchie's. He'll now power his way up towards the Wilson hairpin, and there is still nothing to choose between those two cars. There goes number 11, Jack Barber as well. I don't think Jack will quite get there at the minute. Finds himself just over 2 seconds back. And they've pretty much split themselves off now. Rob Ellis gives it another go to try and get past Kai Wheatley in towards the Agostini hairpin. This is a fight between two cars. The back end nearly steps out there from Rob, but he just manages to correct it on the exit of the corner as they flick their way through the left-hander at Hamilton. Fighting their way, of course, still for 7th and 8th places. The two up the road from them, still that of Spencer Bourne and James Barwell, are in a two-way fight as well. So it's great action throughout the field, as we've come accustomed to in the Radical SR1 Cup. There through the order goes our 3rd and 4th place men, which is Richard Baxter and Andy Chittenden. This is the fight for 5th then, as we mentioned. James Barwell just ahead of Spencer Bourne. And again, Kai Wheatley still under attack here from Rob Ellis in car number 12. But he's tried on every single occasion, at every single corner pretty much, Rob has. But as of yet, he cannot find a way through. And time is starting to tick away now. Not much time left within this race. He's going to have to think fast. If he wants to get the job done, he'll have to do it within the next lap or so. It's James Barwell looking to run slightly wide there, but then there was a mistake from Spencer Bourne, so he didn't have much chance to challenge at Murray's. He may be able to challenge at the first corner though as they cross the line once more. Let's see if Spencer can chuck the car very nicely down the inside. James Barwell goes half defensive, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, because Spencer Bourne comes through and he takes the place away. So up now into what's going to be 5th position for Spencer Bourne in car number 6. That drops down into 6th position, James Barwell in car number 15. And what's happening up towards Wilson hairpin, not much there. The two cars stay exactly as they were at Ritchie's, but this fight has got a lot closer, and have been now joined by one further car, because Jack Barber has managed to catch the top. Oh, and there's a spin there for number 15. That's going to be right in the middle of the track as well. Hopefully the 3 chasing cars avoid him, which they do. So James Barwell, just having been past there, has now made a mistake of his own, and he sits very unhelpfully in the middle of the track there, and he may have just lost the engine as well, so that could bring out an early close to this race, which will be a shame, because we've got this great fight going on between still Kai Wheatley, which now progresses him up into what's going to be 6th position. 7th for Rob Ellis, and then making his way through into 8th place will be the car of number 11, Jack Barber. And there, onto his last lap already, has gone number 22, Oliver Barker, who has stormed this weekend. He's done all he could in races 1 and 2, and he's done all he can in race number 3 as well. He works his way down through Coram Curve in towards Murray's for what will be the final time, not just this weekend, but for the final time this season. And Oliver Barker will win this one by probably over 10 seconds again here. Not quite the extent of 23 seconds, but Oliver Barker is going to be a hat-trick of wins here this weekend at Snetterton in the Radical SR1 Cup. Oliver Barker takes the spoils once more. He comes through. And then again, you have to look a long way in the background to try and find our 2nd place man. It's going to be number 2 by the looks of it, James Taylor, who works his way up towards the line. And more importantly, the Radical SR1 champion for 2016. And you can see he's done enough to finish in 2nd place. He kept as close as possible to Oliver Barker. But James Taylor is our new champion for this year. And then through, very shortly in 3rd, is going to be the car of Kai Wheatley. Sorry, not Kai Wheatley, the car of Richard Baxter. But this fight up towards the line does involve Kai Wheatley. He's going to come through towards the end of that race and just finish ahead of Robert Ellis and a number 11 machine of Jack Barber. But what a weekend's racing from the Radical SR1 Cup, and it closes in dominant fashion with Oliver Barker taking another win. Second place goes to James Taylor and the new champion, and Richard Baxter will round out the podium in third place. Great fighting and action as always within the Radical SR1 Cup. But here's our winner with Alan Hyde down there in Park Fair, mate.
Couldn't have done any more than you did this weekend. Super work.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So you, the team, everything working well, and you knew what you had to do. You just had to win every race and do the best that you could, and you did.
Yeah, that's it. It was just a matter of doing the best we could, and we got all 3 wins and the pole position, so maximum points today. So did literally everything we could.
Just not quite enough.
Not quite enough.
Well, you did a sterling job, and a lovely sporting moment between you and James just then.
Yeah, no, it's been good to race with James all season. He's a good guy.
Super work. Let's walk down the paddock. Well done, Oliver. We'll see you on the top step of the podium in a moment. Let's see if we can catch the moment with James. He's running away from me. Don't run away. Just say, well done. You've done all the mathematics. You knew what you had to do, didn't you?
I was still convinced something was going to go wrong, though.
Were you hearing strange noises in the car?
Yeah, I've been paranoid all day. The gearbox has been making phantom noises and all sorts, but the car's been faultless. The team's done such a wonderful job. I need to say a big thank you to Reese, my mechanic today, and Tom, who's been my mechanic all through the rest of the season. They've both just done such a fantastic job.
I was going to say, it's not just about today, it's about the points accumulated throughout the season. Looking back on the season, a championship year.
Yeah, I was as consistent as I could be all through the season, and I can't say a big enough thank you to Radical for the opportunity to race in the SR1 Cup this year. It's just been fantastic. And to Car Magazine, who I work for, who I've been writing about all year. So thank you.
Well done, many congratulations. Well done, James.
So very happy James Taylor down there. He'll make his way onto the podium very, very shortly. But it's going to be Richard Baxter who gets himself up there onto the third step of the podium with his bottle of bubbly as well. This is exactly the same podium we had from race number 1. So they end the weekend the way they started. Second place will be that of our new champion for this year, James Taylor. He'll be, I'm sure, ecstatic with this, and he'll party well into the night, I'm sure, as Richard Baxter bows for the new champion of the Radical SR1 Cup, and handshakes all around for a very jubilant James Taylor. He didn't win a single race this weekend, but he did enough, as we said, to pick up the championship. And the man who takes all the spoils this weekend, 3 out of 3, the winner, Oliver Barker. He tried his hardest to try and take the title away from James Taylor, but in the end, Oliver Barker finishes second place, and he was in the end just 17 points adrift of James in the final stand-ins, with Kai Wheatley rounding out the top 3 places. But 3 very happy drivers are about to spray the champagne once more. First, Oliver Barker. Second, our champion James Taylor, and Richard Baxter there in third place. But who's going to be the first to pop the cork? It's going to be our winner, Oliver Barker, and they'll be very happy drivers on the Snetterton podium here this weekend. So that's it for the Radical SR1 Cup season. You can find the other Radical Challenge Championship right here on Radical TV on the Radical website.